myself in my truck in the parking lot of Wawa's, not having enough money to go back to North Carolina where I came from, and not really having enough money or knowing that would make me live up to the responsibilities that I had placed upon me as being a man. You know, I still had children, I still had grandchildren, and I wanted them to look at me and still say that, you know, my dad or my papa, you know, is a good person. You know, these things became more important to me than being out in the streets. I come in one day and I got mail, and the counselor said, I hope that's a good mail, you know. So I open it up, I go to the corner, I open it up, and I'm reading it, and it says that, you know, you have been given a voucher for housing, and amen. I know what my history is, and I'm just hoping that God will let them see the history as a person who has changed from what the paper said to the person that he is today, and not judge me by that, and allow me to continue through the process that I need to go to get to the next phase. After about 5-10 minutes, I'm still sitting in my truck. I walk back to my truck, and this gentleman walked over to me, and he says to me, he says, yeah, I'm dealing with a situation. He says, I haven't seen my daughter in a couple weeks. She has a heroin problem, and I just found her, and I'm just trying to get her home. And I said, man, wow. You know, this is heavy on me because now I'm asking somebody that's going through a worse situation than what I'm going through. Like, how can you help me? You know? But this man found it in his heart to almost fill my tank up. Yeah. And I walked back to his truck with him, and we're talking. And I think it was his brother and another individual that was there, and his daughter. And we began to talk about a few things. Still may have had an effect. Since my divorce, I lost everything, my home. I lost everything. So I didn't know that I knew that my credit wasn't, you know, really up to par. I didn't really have any money. I'm a disabled person, and I'm not working. I don't really have the adequate income other than my disability that comes in. And I'm like, what am I gonna do? But God sent someone to me, you know. After I went to a place in like the fourth day, I think, I kept getting to run around with these other places saying, okay, we gotta wait for this. We didn't get the background check because my thing was in New York. It took a couple days to get the information, so forth and so on. So I was kind of like strung along for a little while. And I didn't stop though. It didn't deter me. You know, I think it only motivated me more because I says, okay, if one door is closed, God had already told me there's 10 more is gonna be open. But I had faith to know that what he said, what was written, that it was gonna happen for me, because my desire to have that was just that strong. So I called another individual who was my present landlord, and I spoke with him, and I told him, I said, sir, listen, I mean, I have a background, and I just threw my cards on the table. I said, listen, I have a background. I have a low credit score. I said, but I just received a voucher from Section 8 from the thing, and I need a place to stay. And he says, hey man, you called me at the right time. And he says, when can you come over to this address and look at the place? And actually I was with another friend, and I was like, I can come right now. Like, I can be there right now. I says, as he was talking, he gave me the address. I was actually putting the address in my phone on maps, the Google Maps, to see how far it was. And it was only like 15 minutes from where I was at. And I says, hey, man, I could be there within a half hour, brother. You know what I mean? He says, okay, then I'll meet you there. And from the time, the day that I met him, 4 days later, he called me up. But it was a process because I had to go back to the Chesapeake Housing Authority. I had to get landlord, what do you call it, paperwork for whatever, lease agreement, so forth and everything. I had to get all that paperwork. So I'm still doing my work. I'm still doing what I needed to do. And he called me up and he says, Mr. Hall, he says, can you come to the apartment and meet me there? And I said, wow, what's going on? He says, I just left there. The inspectors came out, passed the inspection. Everything is good, brother. He says, when can you move in? I said, man, I'm gonna move in tonight, man. So I go there. And as I parked my truck and I got out, he's standing there at the porch, at the front door. And he turned around to me and he held the keys up like this. And when I grabbed those keys, I was filled with so emotion that I had to sit down and I had to thank God because, man, everything that I went through led me to this point right here. Like, I have these keys. I have a place to go into. You know, don't have anything to put in here as of yet, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to cross that bridge when I get to it. But thankful that I have this program and I had the people in my life that knew that I had a desire to have something better, to do something better. You know, they all rallied around me. And within a week's time, I got furniture, I got food in my kitchen, I have a bed to sleep on, I got, you know, everything is there. And only through the grace of God, only through the grace of God. I am so thankful. I have a saying that's really, really important to me, and it's to be humble. And thank you for the welcome thing. Miss Sandy remembered, and she brought me a plaque on my door, and it's to be humble and to know humility. Because once you get to that point, then things will open up for you. Whether they open up for me, you know, they open up for me. And I can't continue to tell you of the blessings that continue to pour in, you know, whether it's just someone calling me and telling me, how are you doing today, Michael? Is everything okay? That means a lot to me, you know.
So Chesapeake homeless statistics, we'll get into this. So any guess, like in the city of Chesapeake on any given night, about how many people might be experiencing homelessness? So anywhere from like 500 to 550 people on any given night in the city of Chesapeake. Yeah, and that's what usually everybody goes like, what? I don't see them. Where are they? So in the city of Chesapeake, what we have a lot of is what you call the hidden homeless. So there's not necessarily like a place where people congregate, and then we have folks who live in their vehicles, and then we have folks that you would be very surprised. They may be a coworker that's sitting right next to you at work. The face of homelessness is not always what people necessarily first think of when they think of people being homeless.
At GA Treakle Elementary School, we serve a diverse student body. Many of our students and families face life's harsh realities, residing in various living situations, including single-family homes with multiple family members, apartment complexes, and trailer parks. Some of our students even experience homelessness and may be residing in hotel rooms. These circumstances often manifest in challenges such as food insecurity, lack of proper clothing, inadequate footwear, significantly impacting their ability to learn. We recognize that a hungry student or a hungry stomach or inadequate clothing can impede a child's ability to learn, and we actively address these issues on a daily basis. We are truly grateful for the support of our community partners like you. Your donations play an important role in meeting the needs of our students and in supporting our teachers. You embody the true meaning of community, walking alongside us, offering your resources, your time, and your talents. Your contributions of gifts for our little ones during our Christmas Angel Tree campaign are greatly appreciated and so needed. We also want you to recognize that as community partners, your contributions, even like clothing and supplies, are instrumental in ensuring that every child at GA Treakle Elementary School has an adequate opportunity to learn and thrive. School supplies and donations are vital for events like our Hornet Fest, our Back to School community event. But you don't have to stop there. We also need volunteers. Volunteering isn't just about giving back, it's about investing in the future of our youth. Whether it's spending time helping our students with reading and math, whether it's reading to them, serving as a mentor or as a watchdog dad, or supporting our school events. Your efforts have a profound impact on shaping the lives of our young learners. By volunteering to help our students with reading or math, you're helping them build the essential skills, the academic skills, and instilling in them a love for learning that will last a lifetime. Many of our students don't have anyone at home to support them, to read to them, to help them with reading or math homework. Did you know that reading to students and sharing stories opens their minds to new worlds and new possibilities? Academic support through tutoring provides individualized assistance to help students catch up with the missed learning opportunities or overcome their academic challenges. By mastering those academic skills with the help of someone like you as a tutor, students can regain confidence in their abilities, which their traumatic experiences may have undermined. Successfully completing tutoring sessions and seeing improvements in their academic performance can give students a sense of achievement and empowerment, counteracting those feelings of helplessness or inadequacy that have resulted from their trauma. If you want to mentor, remember, mentors offer emotional support and guidance to students who have experienced trauma, providing a safe space for them to express their feelings, process their experiences, and learn how to develop coping strategies. Mentors also help students set realistic academic and personal goals, encourage them to envision a positive future despite their challenges. Positive role models demonstrate healthy coping mechanisms, resilience, and perseverance in the face of adversity, serving as examples for students who have experienced trauma to emulate. Seeing you as a positive role model in a school, seeing you as a mentor, seeing you as a tutor, despite their own challenges, can inspire students to believe in their own ability to overcome obstacles and inspire them to achieve their goals. Your contributions can extend even further through initiatives like celebrating our faculty and our staff during Teacher Appreciation Week, or providing special treat days. Your recognition and support for our educators is invaluable and greatly appreciated, for they seldom receive the recognition that they deserve. At GA Treakle Elementary School, we recognize that many of our students have experienced trauma that affect their academic, their emotional, and their social well-being. Your support can provide those students who have experienced that trauma with the support they need to heal, that they need to thrive, and to reach their full potential. Offering personalized support, your guidance, and your prayers, Positive examples will help students build resilience, confidence, and a sense of hope despite the challenges they have faced. At Treakle, we are committed to ensuring that every student receives a fair chance at success regardless of their circumstances. The power of the community support enables us to create that safe and inclusive environment where each child can absorb knowledge, where each child can shine, and each child can reach new heights. In closing, we want to express our deepest gratitude to each and every one of you for your dedication, generosity, and unwavering commitment to our community. Your efforts make a profound difference in the lives of our students every single day, and for that we are truly grateful. Thank you.
So tell a little more about the tutoring program.
While we have tutoring, we offer tutoring after school for the majority of our kids. It's funded through Chesapeake Public Schools, but because a lot of our children do not have transportation, they come from one-parent homes and the parents don't have cars, we have been creative with trying to pull existing staff members during our school day to provide remediation to our kids. We don't have the same kind of resources. Our PTA consists of one parent. Yes, and staff.
So why is there a disparity of resources between some schools and others? How does the funding get divided in Chesapeake?
Well, I think funding from the city takes care of us, but our parents don't bring anything in. So
Funding from the Parent-Teacher Association.
yes.
Where our parents are either, they do not work, they may be unemployed, or they are working 2 jobs to keep a roof over their
Right, so
heads.
the socio-demographic that you all serve
Yes,
is not able to raise the supporting funds
Right.
to offset the needs you have compared to
Yes.
other schools,
Correct.
whatever they are.
yes.
grade, shape,
For
age,
example,
yada, yada, yada.
one school may have $80,000 in their account from the PTA over the years. We struggle to get $1,000 because if we're selling, our parents can't afford to buy it. So that's one issue.
So yes, our Title I, we have 416 students as of Friday. Preschool through 5th grade. We're not very large, just right is what we like to say. Every one of our kids gets free breakfast and free lunch.
And
every single day.
after school tutoring, they get
Dinner,
and then they get
a snack to go home.
If you are interested, or if you know anyone who is interested in giving a few hours, we're looking for someone who can be somewhat consistent. We can talk about how many hours you can give, how many days a week you are available. And the reason we ask for consistency is because our students are academically at risk. And they build a relationship with the person and they feel like you care about them, they're more apt to work harder for you. And they look forward to seeing someone that treats them special and gives them that individualized attention that they need, and also helps support their learning. But if you are interested, you can give me a call. We can talk about it, but for the most part, you could just sign into our Raptor system, let them know you came to tutor. We would have everything set up ahead of time, all the materials that you would need, a room set up for you. If you choose to go into the classroom to support the teacher, we can work with that as well. Yes, she asked about the helping with the school supplies. We take everything, and everything that you give. We just started at Treakle about 2 years ago. In order to meet the community, we had what we called a Hornet Fest. It was a community event in which we gave out all of the school supplies that we had, backpacks, pencils, papers, notebooks, coats,
Everything that was in the closet.
everything that we found at the school in the closet, we were just giving it away. I think the first year we had about 400 people. Last year, we were afraid we were going to run out of supplies because they were coming from all over, but it was absolutely awesome. So we Whatever you give, we take it, we stock it all year long. Students do need coats throughout the year, hats, gloves, socks, underclothes, books, book bags. We serve pre-K through 5.
Just follow up to that, is there food available for them in the summer because of schools? I think,
Being a Title I school, was it last year? We had there's a bus
Yes.
that used to come out, and the bus would sit in the parking lot to ensure that students who needed a meal could get lunch provided, yes. They had to be within walking distance, though, which a lot of people walked from wherever they were. Students knew that bus was out there. They would walk, ride their bike, ride a skateboard.
And we have 75 kids currently that receive what's called the Red Backpack on Fridays from the food bank, so that they'll have enough food over the weekend.
But also just, again, part of the journey tonight is for us to become aware. Part of the Lenten journey is to take off the mask, right? As Pastor Sandy helped us think about on Zydeco service, right? You gotta take the mask off, and when you take the mask off, then you see what's there. And it's not one that necessarily reveals something bad or sin or an intentional ignorance versus, again, in the Easter attitude of Lent, what it gets revealed that there's an opportunity. How is God stirring in our hearts? How does Rebecca's relationship with the school lead to a relationship that leads to the angel tree, that leads to Mary getting involved, that leads to a few other you get involved who either taught there or who now know the administration there, who then, you catching on? And then these are the ones who go food, these are the ones who all go shopping the first week of December and buy all the gifts for the 1 or 2 families that you assign to us. So again, you know, what's the word? The phrase we use in pastoral care is follow the breadcrumbs, right? So here are the breadcrumbs. Okay, what is God leading us towards? And that's our journey here in this Lent. This Lent is to kind of soak all this up and then put it in the, as the monks say, put it in the rumination section of your prayer life. Let it turn over a few times. And that way we can see, okay, God, what are you trying to reveal to us? So thank you both. First of all, help us understand your breadcrumbs on your journey. And also thank you for making the time commitment. As we've just figured out, you're supersonic busy. And so we're grateful you're able to make time for us. Yes, one of your partners, but you know, we're not 1,000 people, we're just a few hundred people, but thank you for being here. And then thirdly, thank you for the invitation by telling us in a little more raw, more in the way that for some of us we can get out of our little bubble just for the evening that will then introduce to us. So I hope you trust the seeds you planted tonight in our hearts and our minds. And we look forward to not only a continued relationship, but a deepening relationship. And so just want, before we pray here, I just want to say thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Really, we want to thank you first, right off, for your ongoing support. I've spoken here several times, and I love coming back to tell you what's going on at CHIP. So we want to give you CHIP from beginning to end here, just a little nugget of everything we do. So we can go next slide. So CHIP is the Children's Health Investment Program. We're actually one of 6 CHIP sites across Virginia. We're a statewide network. We serve, at our core, we're a home visiting program. That's how we started. CHIP grew out of the vision of a group of pediatricians in the Roanoke Valley in the 80s. Back then, it was about making sure kids were getting to see the pediatrician. That was before Medicaid expansion and all those things. So it was about getting kids to the doctor's office. Once they did that, they realized, well, it's not really giving us the full picture of what kids in poverty are dealing with. So they started a visiting nurse program. Great. Nurses go out, they find out what the home environment's like. They get out there and they're like, oh, this is a lot more than medical. So that's how the CHIP model was sort of born. It's a registered nurse and a certified parent educator that work together with a family. We work prenatal to age 7. In the past 2 years, we've also added Suffolk, Franklin, Surrey, Isle of Wight, Sussex, and Southampton counties. So we started off serving about 90 square miles. Now we serve almost 4,000. Okay, next. So like I said, home visiting really is the key to our programming, right? We want to meet people where they are and see what really is going on in that house. But we're sending our nurses there, you know, and we can go into homes where there's bullet holes in the wall behind the couch where we're sitting talking to parents because of the last drive-by shooting. You know, we're going into the toughest neighborhoods in this area by far. Some in our rural areas, the most isolated homes. So, but it tells you what those families are up against when you're in their home. So let's say you're the mom. We got called to a mom from a medical facility because she wasn't getting her child in for medical appointments because somebody had shot the windows out of her car in a drive-by. This same mom had a child on oxygen. She was living in public housing. There were cockroaches crawling in and out of the oxygen where her baby was. It was during, remember last summer where we had the big formula shortage? Her child was on a very specific formula because of her medical condition. We found her formula. She called the next week crying. The rats had gotten into her formula and ate the formula. But at the same time, this parent is being held to this standard like any other parent where they have to have their child to the doctor, they can't miss an appointment, they can't do this. All these things, when you live in poverty, you have all these obstacles to come over just to do the things that we probably would just take care of and do. That's just part of what we do. The secret sauce of CHIP is the staff, right? It is about who's out there talking to that parent. It's about building a relationship with them and becoming the person they trust in their life to help them move forward. My staff is awesome at it. They are so good at it. And it's reflected in the way the families feel about us. So home visiting isn't the only thing we do. CHIP provides a variety of services based on what the needs of every community is. So our first one we like to talk about is sleep tight. Any idea how many babies die of unsafe sleep every year in our region? Take a guess. 26, just in our region. So think of a kindergarten classroom. Those are the number of babies that we're losing every single year. Sleep Tight was started in 2008 when this was CHIP at Chesapeake. And our little tiny caseload that we were carrying back then, we had 2 rollover deaths in 1 year. Rollover deaths are when a parent sleeps with a baby in the bed, they roll over and they suffocate the child. Health departments didn't have them. Nobody had cribs for low-income families. So that's how this started. Sleep Tight now is the regional safe sleep program. And we work with all the delivering hospitals, CPS units, social services to make sure babies are getting in cribs. We're doing about 300 to 400 cribs a year. Okay, Moms Matter. We are at a 51-year high in maternal mortality deaths in this country. We've gone backwards. It is primarily in the communities of color, right? Primarily related to hypertension and diabetes. In the first year of this program, we served almost 300 women that gave birth at Centera Norfolk General, all with hypertension. This sounds like common sense, but it's something that really isn't done very often because everybody is so wrapped up in the statistics and the hard data and this. we're wrapped up in the people. We want to make sure that mom makes it through that first year after birth, because we know that's not only the best thing for the mom, it's the best thing for the child, right? Does anyone know what the word Sankofa is? Sankofa is a mythical bird whose feet face forward, but their head looks back, and there's an egg in the beak. And it means that you can move forward without forgetting your past, and you bring your past along with you. The Sankofa Family Center is one of only 3 family resource centers that were funded through the Department of Social Services in their first go-round of funding. Right now, it's in our office, in one of the playrooms in our office, and it serves the community closest to our office in South Norfolk. Our Family Resource Center started with the idea that we are a bus stop for almost 30 kids every single morning. And we're like, well, what if we did more with those 30 kids? So now we have 30 kids in our office every morning, different shifts, talking with our staff people, telling them about their day, what their challenges are at school that day, what happened over the weekend. Their parents are often there with them. We had another kid come in one day, and he told us his electric was turned off. We had 2 kids just go missing for days, so we had to track them down. We were the early truancy officers, but in a much friendlier way. That's the beginning of the Sankofa Family Center. We have job training lined up now, tutoring, and a program called Parent Cafe. Parent Cafe is a program out of Be Strong in Chicago. It's an evidence-based model where families come, have a meal together, kids go off and play, parents stay for sort of a structured support group. It has had the most astounding results I've ever seen in any group activity ever, because we all want that parent engagement. We just need to collaborate and do it together. Okay. We have a building that was built in 1922. We also have almost 4,000 square feet that are not renovated. It's just a shell. So, in opening the Family Resource Center and the need to, have electric that works, we have embarked on a capital campaign. And again, I just want to thank you for your support. You guys are always here. You are the church that I can call. And I've known Donna, your church secretary, for years. And I can say, Donna, I got the possibility of a match. Can we get that check early this year, maybe? And you guys have always worked it out for us. And that's a nice feeling for me to have with you guys, to know that I can call on you when I need you. And I'd be happy to answer questions. For every state and federal dollar we bring in, we raise 2. So about 1/3 of that is state and federal. This year, for the first time in 18 years, we were not included in anybody's budget. So we do family planning. We have, it's sort of an ongoing effort with our nurses to talk about family planning. And Teresa can attest to this. She's brand new at the agency. Twice a year, we have what we call Birds and Bees Month, where we make sure that everybody is definitely getting the family planning discussion. And most of our enrollees, when they come to us, either have no birth control plans or say it's abstinence. That's not the way it is a year later. I guess I'll end by saying, prevention is where it's at, right? If we can solve these issues before kids grow into adults, we're saving money down the road. This is your best investment right here. We know that kids that grow up in poverty have a 70% higher likeliness to become teen parents or to become involved in the criminal justice system. We also know that early intervention solves a lot of those issues. For every dollar that's invested now, we save it we save $7 down the road. This is where we change the trajectory of a community, is by working in this 0 to 5 area. It really can alter a kid's life. So I thank you for everything that you do. And we left some information in the vestibule for you. And we'd love to talk to you more about it. Come out and see us. Okay? Thank you.
Our Lenten University is about building bridges.
Okay.
And it's a reminder to all of us here present that we are more capable of doing God's work when we collaborate with our partners.
Yes.
And that's the teenagers making all the noise over there. Yeah. And so when we're trying to collaborate, and from our faith perspective, we can understand that we feel called to be the hands and feet of Christ, and yet we can't do it all.
Right.
And so it's wiser for us to discern partners who are already doing that work that we can help out with.
Yes.
And so that's the undergirding of what's going on tonight.
All right.
My
okay.
friends, Nishelle, please
All right.
welcome her.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to thank you all for having me here this evening to talk about Buffalo Family and Friends Community Days. Our organization was started in 2010 with an initiative of feeding on Thanksgiving Day, because as we knew, Chesapeake had no soup kitchens on Thanksgiving Day. So I was like, let's start something of our own. So I asked my mom and a group of my friends, is this something that we can do? And they said, yes, we can do it. So we started out the first year at Johnson's Park, and we served 25 homeless out there. And one of our initiatives is always, you know, you're feeding them, but hey, they need something warm as well. So we brought some blankets and things like that out there as well. Then we said, well, the second year we had about 40. Then the third year we was like, wow, we're doing a lot of lifting and moving. So we bring it right there at an empty lot at our home, beside our house. That particular year we served 150. Of that 150, 75 of those were kids. Now, I know as a kid growing up, I was in the kitchen with my grandmother on Thanksgiving Day, trying to see what she was cooking. But these kids were out there. They came out there to eat, but they also came out there. Some of them needed coats. Some of them needed hats. Some of them needed socks. So we had clothes out there, but we didn't have enough. How are we going to get them coats? How are we going to get them socks? But it's something that I knew that we needed. And our organization is, you see a need, you feel the need, mind, body, soul. And that's what we do. We're always, if we see a need, we're always trying to fill the need. Last year, we served 4,774 meals for Thanksgiving. It went out to probably about 50 different neighborhoods. And before we left that particular event, that outreach that Saturday, Big Lot was right there in that shopping center. So we went to Big Lot, and with everybody there with us pitching in, we was able to get a bed, cover, sheets, bath cloth, and get her some food that's in there, that's seeing the need, feeling the need. The canned goods, the donations that y'all give us, the monetary donations, it takes all of that to do what we do on a monthly basis. Not only that we do our outreach with our seniors, we have a community pantry that we have at our center. Now, pass back, remember I said in 2010 we was in our house. We stayed doing our outreach in our house to 2020. 2020 came along and I got a call from the Church of Latter-day Saints. We have 4,000 pounds of food for you. I'm like, wow, what are we gonna do with 4,000 pounds of food? So I sent my mom out on a scavenger hunt. Where can you find us a cheap location? Because we're cheap. I always go on the faith of the Lord, the faith of a mustard seed, and anybody that knows me knows that's what I do. Because anytime I see a new initiative, I jump onto it. So we got our first place, our first storefront in August of 2020. and we made it into a pantry. 2021, we were still missing something because we still needed to cook Thanksgiving. So next door to the pantry became a available space, and we made that into a community kitchen. And then in 22, we got a resource center. And in Thanksgiving 22, we were cooking in the kitchen. But as I say, we go on the faith of a mustard seed. So I had residential equipment trying to cook in a commercial building, which did not work. It just slowed down. But we were still able to put out 1,000 meals in 22. So in 22, I said, well, we can't do it again. We're going to have to do a commercial kitchen. And everyone's looking at me, well, this kitchen is only a year old. Well, it can't put out the volume that we needed to put out. And so last year, we took on the initiative close to the fall to do a commercial kitchen right there by Thanksgiving. So everybody's like, oh, we're going to make it. We made it in a nick of time. So I called the jail, I called the sheriff department, I'm calling anybody that I know got a kitchen. And so the sheriff department said, if you bring us how many turkeys you can get cleaned up and seasoned, we'll pop them in the oven for you all. And that was good because we needed that support and collaboration that makes an organization. You have to think we'll be 15 years old this year. So it takes support, collaboration, but it also takes God. It always takes God to get us through our initiatives and what we need and what we do for our community. And a lot of things, so I said we do warm and fuzzy. We also do a back to school drive. So before pandemic, we was doing about 1,000 kids in August. And one thing that we do, mind, body, soul, so we bring in the Colgate bus from Washington, D.C. to do our dental screenings. We teamed up with South University to do physicals, school physicals for the kids. And we're outside doing this. They made a makeshift, like you would see on the old show, MASH. That's what it looked like, but kids were getting physicals, kids were getting their dental screenings, kids were getting their back to school supplies. And that's one of the initiatives that we're going to start is a small culinary school in September to help people learn how to cook. We're going to open up a larger space for lecture, for reading, and for math. And in the back of the building will be what we're going to call the Food Bank of Chesapeake, because we need more space. As we, I'm like, wow, how can we keep outgrowing our space? We have a retired contractor that came to us with the Girl Scouts to just teach the girls how to do ceiling tiles. He's been with us for now 2 years. So we have to listen to God's calling, not our calling. And when he tells us to do things, we need to stop and we need to do it. But I'm open for any questions that anyone may have for me.
How much help do you get from the community as far as volunteering? And how does a person go if they want to volunteer, let's say over Thanksgiving, they want to come up and help you?
So during the Thanksgiving holiday, we put out a sign-in sheet online and on social media for people to volunteer. It all depends on how fast we can get the food cooked. So like that Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we're doing a lot of prepping, and then we start maybe plating that Monday evening. We always look for volunteers. So last year, we opened up a community hair salon. You think, why would you open up a community hair salon? Well, it's a need. You have grandparents that's raising their grandkids that can't afford to take them to get a haircut. You have single parents. You have seniors that can't wash the back of their hair anymore or get a haircut. They can't afford it. So we opened up the hair salon, and that's the best initiative that we could have done. And the young lady, she had got a referral from her guidance counselor to come in, and she was getting her hair done. And the family was out there sitting in the lobby, and I was like, oh, that's the family. So I said, well, let me sign you all up for the next 2 weeks to come in to get services. So as they were saying what services they want, I'm writing it down, and I'm like, okay, let me go get the teacher, because I don't think we're going to be able to do these services with the condition of their hair at this time. So I went and got the teacher, and she was like, well, let's sign them up. And she went and got the barber. He was like, well, we need to handle them today. And our barber is 19 years old. And he was like, we can't let them leave out like this. And so as they went into the hair salon, they start detoxing their hair, and they was like, well, they got dirt bugs and different things like this. So they're teaching us. And the kids are handling, they're 16, 17. Taki was the oldest. He was 18 at the time, the barber. We team up with CCC, Chesapeake Career Center, to give the kids the live experience of working with the community. And they handle it like champs. But as the mom and her kids was in that salon, you saw a difference because someone was caring for them. You saw self-esteem rising. And I tell people are not numbers to me. People are not statistics to me. They're a human being. So it's kind of hard for me when I'm writing a grant or they're wanting different statistics, because people are people. They're not numbers. The kid on kid, the peer on peer, helping each other out. They're talking to each other. They're giving each other advice. We had one young man. He said, oh, were you in a gang? He said, yes, I used to be. And you don't want to go down that road. So we have a lot of interaction like that. We're saving souls in here. A lot of things that I know when I first was collaborating with the food bank, and I was at Chesapeake United Methodist Church, one thing that the food bank told us that we couldn't pray when we were handing out the food. And I've always remembered that. And so that's my thing. We're our own separate entity because anybody can ask us for prayer. Anybody that need it, we're open to prayer at our center. When we was doing the fundraising for the kitchen last year, we had different organizations that came forth, different golfing organizations, different fraternal organizations, the Eagles, the Ruitons, just different people came in and say, here's a blessing for you all to finish your kitchen. Because Grassfield started our initiative of our kitchen off Grassfield High School. They won a contest and gave us $10,000. I'm like, okay, that's going to do our kitchen, right? Mm-mm. So that total project was probably $80,000. Of my thinking of $10,000, I don't know how to build anything. I'm just thinking, this is what we can do. We're going to take this space. And what I didn't know was he was going to build us a real commercial kitchen.
How can we here at St. Thomas help you on an ongoing basis? Is our best thing to help bring food items here, or what is our best way to help you?
Yes, food items is always good for us. Always. Always, yes. And there's a list out of things that we do need. When we go into the senior communities, we give them a grocery bag and we give them a central bag. In their central bag, we give them a wrapped toilet paper, we give them washing powder, dish detergent, dryer sheets, bleach, whatever we can put in an essential bag. We try to give them 5 to 6 items in their essential bag along with their grocery bag.
God bless you.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. I don't have much, but what I can do is share my knowledge with the others, share my knowledge of trying to write a grant, share my knowledge of just being that listening ear, sharing my knowledge that, hey, God is good to me. Hey, faith of a mustard seed, I go by that all the time. Because when we started our organization, it was just me and my mom and a few friends. And we've grown, but we still don't get the amount of resources that we need at 15 years. So we know that it's all God's work. You know, and I tell anyone, God has his hands in Buffalo Family and Friends. He really did. Because we wouldn't make it without him.
And programs. And so we were founded in 1989 by a group of nuns who saw a need for women and children that were living with HIV. So this is 1989. We know what the epidemic looked like in the 80s, right? And so people weren't really speaking about it. People were dying. We just didn't have a grasp of the stigma, the shame. So, you know, the group of nuns, they started CANDY, Children's Aid Network Designed for Interfaith Involvement. So in 2006, this is when I came to LGBT Life Center. It was called Access AIDS Care. But in 2006, we received some money from the Elton John Foundation. And so with the Elton John Foundation, we were able to rebrand and open LGBT Life Center. So we were Access AIDS Care and the LGBT Life Center. Well, that actually came in 2008, was the Elton John Foundation. So we were dual names, Access AIDS Care / LGBT Center. You know, LGBT is very specific, right? And so although we are LGBT Life Center, we provide a variety of services for different demographics and backgrounds. And so our primary population has been the LGBTQ community and persons living with HIV/AIDS. So we provide a variety of services, supportive, preventative. And so I'm going to go through a lot of the services that we do provide. And so I've picked some specifically to talk about what we do at the center. So, you know, we have our community clinic. We are in the process of opening 2 clinics. So we'll have 2 clinics open in spring of this year actually. And so at our center in Norfolk, we provide we don't have a community clinic right now, but we do HIV testing, STI testing. We have mental health support, IPV services, transportation, HIV case management, housing support. Our Pride Pantry is so crucial and essential, and you guys play a huge part as to what we do at our Pride Pantry, and I'll go into depth about that as well. We have social support groups, youth and senior services. We have volunteer opportunities, speaking engagements, trainings and workshops. We have a lot of sexual health counseling. We have a pharmacy program, so individuals can receive their meds in the mail. With the addition of our clinics, they'll be able to obtain their meds on site. We also provide HIV and STD education, so we're talking about our ways to stay HIV negative, to support health and wellness, to talk about sex positively. We help individuals navigate the health system. We have case managers to help individuals who are living with HIV to guide them to resources, whether it be housing, whether it be insurance, whether it is education, or maybe it is food, or maybe it is just support or somebody to say, hey, you are valued. We have transportation to and from medical appointments. We have housing programs, several housing programs, and we also have events in safe and supportive spaces. And last week, was it last week? Well, March 7th was, we recognized National Women and Girls HIV/AIDS Awareness Day. And so, like I stated before, we have that is me. We have a clinic opening at our Robin Hood location, and also our Hampton location. It is specialty care for individuals living with HIV, affirming primary care, gender-affirming hormone therapy, pharmacy services, and we also have some linkages to our biomedical interventions in PEP, and DoxyPEP. A lot of what we do is also our Pride Pantry. Here in Hampton Roads, especially here in Norfolk, Portsmouth, and Virginia Beach, the rate of food insecurity is the most highest in those 3 cities. And so St. Thomas has been crucial to our meals program. So individuals who are in need of meals, our pantry is open 5 days a week. And so from Monday through Thursday, anyone can come into our pantry to get food from 8:30 to about 7 o'clock in the evening. And those meals are essential to so many seniors and just to so many individuals who may not have resources such as housing, because they can just pop them in an oven. For the Thanksgiving holiday, we were able to provide 488 families with meals. And so that's just not our clients, that is just community. So anyone, regardless of age, sexual orientation, race, economic status, can come in to get food. And that was the highest for us in years. What I do in communities, the questions that people may have, the fears, the conversations that we don't want to have because of our own internal and external stigmas, right? And I'll talk about internal and external stigmas because we're human and we all have them, right? And so I'm a storyteller, so I like to give a lot of different stories to make it applicable to lives, right? And so I have a 5-year-old who she'll be 5. And so I found a wonderful Christian daycare center that I would have driven by because of my own internal stigmas that I thought would be placed on her, right? And so I addressed that because even though I'm in the field, I'm human, right? And so we're all human. And so sometimes we have to get past this to get to the work that we do and to implement change, right? So, a lot of the times prejudice, oppression, this is part of systems that, with the world that we live in. So individual forms of prejudice, they have effects on health and they have effects on wellness. So when we think about individual forms of prejudice, we think of, just fear or hatred for the LGBT communities and identities and relationships. So, a lot of language right now in government is anti-trans. It is, it is not supportive of the LGBT community. And what we do have on the rise is suicide and mental health barriers and broken homes and families. So there are different types of privilege that we can use, and it's not all about money, it's not all about resources, it's about words, it's about allyship, and it's about action. And that should be simple, but it isn't. So there is cisgender, heterosexual privilege. So cisgender is another word, and people sometimes what is cisgender? I struggled with cisgender when it first came out. I was like, okay, has anyone heard cisgender before? I get a lot of discussions when I come to events, and I think sometimes media creates this us versus them situation when it's just about language when it comes to cisgender or transgender. It's not about a us versus them. It just boils down to language. Every year there is a day of recognition called Transgender Day of Remembrance. And so this day is November 20th every year, and what this day is to recognize the lives of transgender individuals that have lost their lives due to violence. And so I want to say last year it may have been about 25 people. I do videos every year, and I remember one year I did a video and it had about 35 people that lost their lives to violence. We are losing people to violence. We are losing people because they just want to live their authentic lives. And so this was from a 22 survey with the National Survey on LGBTQ Youth with the Trevor Project. So at the time of this survey, 45% of LGBTQ youth seriously consider attempting suicide. Recently, there were some helpful resources removed from the Virginia Department of Health website. These were resources to help, LGBTQ youth just navigate life. As it can be difficult. We were all teens once. We know what that looks like. And so to have other barriers presented, so what happens? They find other people who may not be as supportive of them. So these are some of the statistics, and I don't want to go through all of them, but the overall relatability is that suicide among LGBTQ youth and mental health is higher among youth that don't identify as LGBTQ. Among all LGBT youth, 82% wanted mental health care and 18% did not. But there were also youth that wanted that support and they could not get it. What do you think some of those reasons that they reached out but they could not get mental health support? Family. Yep. They don't want anybody to know. I don't want to be visible. Or maybe the world makes me feel like I'm invisible. Family may not be supportive. Friends may not be supportive. I may be in an area where, I just don't have access. And I may not have representation. I may not have anyone else that looks like me. And so I just have to fit in. I just have to live this life. I have to fit in because I'm not represented. We have a lot of those discussions. So pronouns. Pronouns are the bane of existence for some people, right? And so, it is, and I have some pronoun pins and I have some information about pronouns before I leave. And so when we think about pronouns, we think about the pronouns, the common pronouns, he, him, she, her. My pronouns are she and her, right? But we do have individuals who may have several pronouns. Like I have coworkers who may have a she, they pronoun or a he, they pronoun, right? And so it's about practice. I make mistakes. And the first word I use for any interaction, whether I am the receiver or whether I'm given the information, is grace. We have to give ourselves grace, right? So if I'm trying to teach someone, I have to give that person grace because the world is changing and information is new. I'm in the community. I work at LGBT Life Center. There are new things that I'm like, okay. Pronouns. Pronouns are important because they give individuals, it's who I am, right? So first, if you have any uncertainty, it's always nice to ask what someone's pronoun is, right? And by asking if you are unsure what someone's pronoun is, it's awareness. It lets them know that you are trying, right? So use the language that people use to describe themselves. And practice. I had to practice a lot with they and them because in my brain, they and them is plural, right? Right. So believe people when they disclose their identities to you. My best friend is a trans man, and a lot of people think that he just woke up one day and decided to change who he was. Nope. My friend has gone through suicide ideations, has been in mental institutions, and I wanted to say thank you also for just, it takes a village. One of my favorite sayings is you and community matter, with a capital U in you and a capital U in community, because it takes a village. We can't do this without y'all. And so we are so appreciative of what you do for our clients. And when I say our clients come from all walks of life, whether they are LGBTQ, whether they are heterosexual, whether they are seniors, whether they are young, whether they are old, whether they're black, white, purple, orange. We service everybody. So I just want to say thank y'all. I talk really fast, so I apologize, but I appreciate being here and thank you for, it's Sunday, so I in the evening, so I appreciate y'all being here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, and I appreciate not only your identity within your role in the community, the LGBTQ Center, but also rolling out to us, even though briefly, because there's not much time, the complexity of the ministry that y'all perform and the reality check of what's underneath it. And so we've been learning in the season of Lent about suicide rates. We've been learning about youth homelessness. We've been learning about what it means to see other people and see them where they're at, as opposed to the awkward, like, why do I see you as a woman on this day but see you as a man on that day, or dressed differently? Those awkward moments, as opposed to, you just reminded us, just take the person where they're at, right? And then the whole pronoun thing. You notice my email signature always has my pronouns in it. On Zoom, my name almost always has my pronouns in it. Pandemic really did a great favor for me and the last church I was in, because we all just started throwing the pronouns in there. And once we got over the hump of doing it, it became an easy for the whole community. It was awkward and people were stumbling left and right. But once we got going on it, it was an easy, because it showed an indication that as a community, we welcome you for however you identify your pronoun. Just those little indicators. So here at St. Thomas, we're trying. We're not perfect at all, welcome to acceptance, but we're on that journey to it. And our commitment to you all and the other organizations is to have you help us learn how to do it better. And so we welcome that relationship going forward. So thank you. Awesome. So